Hey everybody, I'm just talking about today why you should be very wary and possibly never buy a car off of Craigslist. As you see, people want kind of ridiculous prices for stuff. Like this person wants for a 97 Z28 Camaro rear end $500. You can buy a whole Camaro that doesn't run and more than likely has a perfectly good rear end for under $500 or right at $500. And then you got people like this selling a 71 for $40,000, and then you got 2010 for 13. And then let's go down here where I saw this other one. You see that one right there is a 2010 Camaro for 13. Then you got this guy down here selling a 86 for 9,000. So first of all, that car is not worth 9,000. So you should never pay what they're asking for on Craigslist. It doesn't matter if it seems like a good deal, because more than likely it's not going to be. If it sounds too good to be true, usually it is. That's just one thing you need to remember, people. There is no such thing as a good deal, because LT1 6-speed transmission, they want $1,200. This car, its whole perfectly good condition car, is only worth $1,500 max. I mean, and that's if it's got the V8 in it. Some of these don't even have a V8. They lie about what it's got in it and all type of crazy stuff. You really got to watch out, people. Like this other car down here. They want $7,000 for a 1999. It says it only has 20,000 miles. But it's a V6, first of all. So it's the underpowered one, probably all basic. There's nothing spectacular about it. And they want half the price of a 2010. Be realistic with what you're asking, people. If the car is only worth $2,000, you're not even going to get $2,000 for it, more than likely. Unless you just find a sucker. Like this one right here, a 1992. They want $2,000 for it. That's better than some of the prices I've seen on here so far. But it's still not even worth $2,000. $500 is what all that car is really worth realistically. Even if it's in perfect condition, it's not going to be perfect condition. If you get something off of Craigslist, like this car right here, this guy wants $4,500 for a 95 Camaro V6 on 24s. It's V6 because I've already looked at this one. And it was his project car and he gave up on it, probably because there's something wrong with it. In general, every time I've known anybody buy a car off of Craigslist, there's always something that was wrong with it when they bought it, and there's something they can't fix on it without it costing them an arm and a leg just to get right. That's why, realistically, you'd be better off. I mean, even dealerships probably have bad deals and they charge more and all that type of stuff, but it just doesn't make sense why you would want to buy something from somebody on Craigslist. This seems too bad of a deal. I mean, really. Like this 1977 Z28, it is a body only car, and they want more than scrap value for it, obviously. I mean, but the car is not even worth but scrap value. My girlfriend, she had bought a Jeep off of Craigslist, and the transmission was always messed up a little bit on it, and the transmission actually went out a few months later on. Couldn't go in reverse. So the car basically sat there and went to nothing. Because it was either spend $800 on a transmission, and she would have had to go to the Jeep dealership to do it because she doesn't know how to do all that. And my uncle wasn't fixing my cars at the moment then, at that time, but now we got him working on cars and stuff. But that's just one reason why you should never buy a car off of Craigslist unless you really check it out very good. Because as you see, people are out here just trying to scam people and unload their bad deal that they purchased at some point in time. So always be careful, people. Research, find out what the car's actual value is worth before you buy it, and always go check the car out in person before you even make an offer, and always check everything and drive it as hard as you feel you is necessary, because if it can withstand a hard drive, it may be an alright car. But then again, it may be just set up temporarily just to last till you have to get it inspected, and then it may be something secretly wrong with the car. You got to be very careful with buying used cars, because apparently nobody wants to be honest these days. I actually am probably the only person that I've ever known be 100% honest with every problem on a car. And that car, my car that I tried to sell was 2007 Eclipse. They say the Eclipse is only worth about $1,500. Well, so I asked $1,500. Never got an offer except for a bunch of lowballs. And the car actually runs. There isn't nothing really wrong with my car. Only thing it had was that the O2 sensor needed to be replaced for $80. And so, all in the end, I ended up letting my girlfriend drive it, and she's been enjoying the little car, and she's just gonna keep it running. So I'm glad I didn't sell it for $1,500, because to me the car is worth at least $3,000 running, because she couldn't buy another car for that value. So you'd be better off to buy a car from somebody that you know they've taken good care of it. A lot of people don't take care of their cars like they should. A lot of people don't do maintenance like they should. Some people never change the oil in a car for a whole year. I have known people do that. My girlfriend was one of those people. She never changed the oil, didn't even know when. She didn't know about transmission fluid, if it ever been changed. She didn't know about belts. See, these are type of situations people have on Craigslist, where they buy stuff from people who have no clue what to do with maintenance and stuff, and then they end up trying to sell it when there's something wrong with it, and then they sell it to somebody else who has no clue of the history, and then you end up with a total cluster mess. So that's why I always check everything you can. If there's something wrong with it, don't buy it. Just plain and simple, do not buy a car that there is a problem with, because chances are there is more than that one problem. Unless you do find the honest people, which we are rare. Honest people are the rarest thing on earth these days. So, just trying to help everybody out to make good purchases. I'm tired of everybody saying that they have all these problems from thinking they got a good deal on a car, and then they ended up really got the worst deal they could have possibly ever got. So, just be careful, people. I hope y'all have good ventures, and I hope everybody can get what they want. But just be careful with your purchases. Don't buy a car off of Craigslist unless you really know the history. And even doing background checks on the cars isn't always foolproof. There are people that get in accidents with cars, and they don't actually claim they don't actually claim the accident. So the car might have a few scratches or something, but it was actually involved in an accident. They just never claimed it with insurance. So then that never actually shows up on an accident report. So there you go. There's one thing else that you need to always be aware of. That all those little sites that say you can check the reports and the little reports for the cars and stuff, they're not always true either. You can't always find every issue with a car. We have a 2014 Honda, and it was involved in a accident, but the people never reported it to get it fixed. So it had scratches on it, and I mean, obviously we know a body shop guy who was able to buff it out, but still, at the end of the day, the car was involved in an accident, so they had to come off on that. So that's just things to be looking out for.